MMA Locker Room here with Pick Dawgz. UFC Bet with me. We're back and we're about to be going over UFC 305. Headlined by Dricus du Plessis defending his belt against Israel Adesanya. And what seems to be like the battle for the fight of Africa. Both fighters from Africa. One claims that he's the first African champion. Fighting the other guy that was already from Africa. Who's already been champion. Oh man, a lot to talk about, but hey man, that's just the main event. We got a lot of bets and a lot of predictions to get out too. And hey man, last week we did a great job. I mean, we went 7-3. Great job, my bad. Let me take that back. We did good. That ain't good enough. I want to do great this week. I'm trying to go undefeated. We got a lot of fights to talk about. 7-3. We came through with Sergey Spivak like we know we would. We missed out on the dog shot on Quang Lee. And then we missed out on Grigorgi. I gave him out in the parlay. And man, he had the guy shaking, rattling on shaking feet. And then he got subbed out, man, and gassed out. But that's MMA. You can't call them all. You can't win them all. But what you guys win last week on UFC? What was you guys' best bet? And what was the bet you just regret, man? Because, when it's all said and done, we was able to hit some round props, too, that we liked as well. So this week, we got a lot of fights to talk about. So let's go ahead and get it started, man. All right, the first matchup, man. We got Stuart Nicoll taking on Jesus Aguilar. Stuart Nicoll's going to be making his UFC debut. He's a 2-1 favorite on the books. 8-0, okay? He's good at wrestling. He's good at submissions. But the guy that he's facing, Jesus Aguilar, he's like 2-1 in the UFC, I want to say. Or maybe even 3-1 in the UFC. Made his debut on the Contender Series. He's a small guy, right? But he loves to get submissions, man. He has about 7 wins by submissions, and they're all by the same way too. Last fight out, he was able to get the win in a fight to where the judges and everybody kind of thought they was going to go the other way, but he was able to keep going with the takedowns. On the feet, he's not going to be there, but he's going to be the guy that's pushing for those takedowns when it's all said and done. I think Stuart Nicoll does have a better path to victory just based off of Jesus Aguilar. It kind of seems like if he doesn't sub you, he might just gas out. But when it's all said and done, man, I got to trust my eyes, and my eye test is going with Jesus Aguilar in this one, man. Give me the dog shot in this one, man. Stuart Nicoll is good. But you got to kind of pass the test yet. And I'll be honest, man. Yes, the easy thing would be to pick Stuart Nicoll and say he's going to win by this and that. But me, I think the best bet is the over 2.5 in here. And if I'm going to take the shot on the first fight of the night, I'm probably going to be picking the dog to win. I'm not getting to the window, though, on this fight because I'm not overly convinced on neither of these fighters enough. Second fight on the card, we got Kenan Song taking on Ricky Glenn. Kenan Song, man, he opened up like a -170 favorite. Now he's down to a -160. Some things that people got to know. Ricky Glenn is stepping up to this weight class, man. This is going to be his first time fighting at welterweight. Last time out, he showed up, and I think he got knocked out real quick. And the fight before that, I think he got knocked out real quick, man. He's one of those guys that has been fighting for the UFC for a long time, and he really hasn't been good. And he only fights like every random 10 months or something, and then he pops up on the scene, takes a loss. I think this is going to be his last fight in his contract. Kenan Song, he's a guy, he has explosive power in his hands, okay? And if he gets you hurt, the thing is, he doesn't have that finish ability to go just follow up. Lesson be learned against Ian Gary. He hit Ian Gary with a power shot and didn't go for the finish. And what happened? He ended up getting finished. In this one, I try to stay off this fight card, okay? This was the one fight that I was like, I'm not gonna try to bet it. I'm not gonna do anything. But then later on, I start seeing there's a path to victory for Kenan Song in this one. I like the favorite in this one, and I think he wins by KO. And I like fight not to go the distance, so I like the under 2.5 as well. I like Kenan Song in this one. Let it be known, I think I'm getting to the window with Kenan Song too. If it could drop a little bit to that -150 price range, I'm really there. But even at that -165, I'm kind of looking at it, man. Because for one, Rick Glenn, I think it's just a fade right now. He's just the guy that, comes into the fights, and he's not the B, he's not the A side on it, so I don't think that. But then again, man, we got more fights to talk about. Let me not spend too much time on this one, man. Next fight on, Tom Nolan is back, 7-1, taking on Alex Reyes, man. All right, man, Tom Nolan, Australian fighter out here. Let's talk about the gambling odds. For what? He's minus 1,200. What are you gonna do with it? Nothing. Don't put it in a parlay. Don't do nothing. Take the under 1.5. It's like minus 300, I think. That's the thing that's probably going to hit in here, man. But I do like Tom Nolan to win inside the distance. His opponent is Alex Reyes, 13-4, the brother of Dominic Reyes, okay? He made his scene in the MMA scene a couple of years back, had some health issues, and he just made his way back recently. I want to say last year, came out and didn't look good in that fight. In this one too, it's kind of like they're feeding him to the wolves in this one. But as a minus 1,200, man, you never know what can happen on there. But I do think Tom Nolan wins inside the distance. I'll say first round finish, wins by KO. Next fight taking place, man. Aussie. We got Jack Jenkins, 12-3, taking on Herbert Burns, 11-5. We got Australia versus Brazil on this one. Jack Jenkins opened up like a minus 500. I think he's way higher than that right now. All right. The thing that he's going to do great in this fight is going to be leg kicks. Okay? I remember seeing Herbert Burns hurt before, with leg kick. Well, just hurt. He hurt his leg before and had to limp out the cage with his big brother and stuff. I think that's going to be the path to victory in this one, man. Look, listen, hear me out. I think Jack Jenkins is going to win by a standing leg kick KO. I think he's going to be kicking the legs on Herbert Burns so much to where he's going to be hopping and skipping and jumping like he's playing hopscotch and just be like, ref, I don't want no more, So I think Jack Jenkins is going to win by KO. Yeah, leg kick KO, that is. Jose Aldo style. Jonathan Martinez style. You know what I mean? I like Jack Jenkins a lot. Minus 550. I did get to a window with the parlay with them in there, though. I like him a lot in this spot. Herbert Burns, though. Brother Gilbert Burns, right? Cardio issue, cardio factors, man. Once he gets past that 5-minute mark, he just looks for a way out. His striking's not there. Yes, he's good at jiu-jitsu. Yes, if he gets you down, yeah, he can grapple. He can get you in some holds and stuff. But in this one, I think Jack Jenkins is going to come out there and just put on a clinic out there, fighting in his hometown too, man. I wouldn't be surprised. Like I said, he wins by that KO. It's going to be a nice plus money price tag too. I want to say in that round 2, if you get him to win by KO. The theme on some of these fights, man, you got a lot of Brazilian fighters. In the other half, of course, you got the Aussie fighters. So far, we already have 3 Australian fighters on the card. The first fighter was Australian, the 208 favorite. And then we had Tom Nolan, Jack Jenkins. That's 3. All right, let's keep it going, man. Let's go. This fight right here is going to be a good one. We got Casey O'Neill taking on Luana Santos. Casey O'Neill was supposed to be taking on another opponent, Teresa Blazer. She pulled out. Now steps in Luana Santos. Luana Santos is coming off of a win against Mariga Agapova by submission in her last time out. Probably about, less than like a month and a half ago or 2 months ago. Now she's flying out to Australia to take on Casey O'Neill. And guess who's the favorite? She is. She's a minus 135 favorite in there. She's good at grappling, she's good at jiu-jitsu and stuff. But I like Casey O'Neill in this spot. I think she's the overall better fighter. I think her striking's better. I think her wrestling better. I think her cardio is better. And I think she might be able to give a round 3 finish by ground and pound, man. Look, I think too, she's been switching up her training regimens. I've seen her training at Fight Ready Gym for a little bit. I've seen her training at other gyms and other coaches too. And that's what you want to see out of a young fighter at this, at stages, taking strides and, improving at those levels and stuff. And here, she's going to have her hometown behind her out there in Australia. So, I think the crowd's going to get her hyped up. They've been waiting for Casey O'Neill to fight in Australia for the longest. She was booked earlier on in her career, and I forget what happened. She either got hurt or the opponent got hurt. But, yes, so she's finally fighting at home right now, and I think she's going to feel at home, man. I think some people forgot, and I think she's going to remember who the king is, man. I like Casey O'Neill in this one to win. Let it be known. If you guys want to see some more information on Casey O'Neill, you guys can check out an interview I did with her probably about a year ago on MMA Locker Room. Just type it up in YouTube, MMA Locker Room interviews Casey O'Neill. She doesn't do a lot of media with a lot of people. I'm one of the people she did do an interview with. Regardless of that, none of that has this in mind with this bet or with this pick, man. Like, If she opened up like a -220 favorite, then story would be different. You guys are tripping. Plus money on Casey O'Neill. I really like her in this spot. All right, man. I think she gets back on top too. Next fight taking place. Josh Culibao taking on Ricardo Ramos, man. We got Aussie versus Brazil in this one. Ricardo Ramos, 16-5, man. Jiu-jitsu player, nice spinning elbows, spinning back fits, flying knees, explosive fighter in the first round. That's what he's known for. Want to know what else he's also known for? He's known for quitting, looking for a way out. That's what he did in his last time out, man. Joshua Culibao, he's going to have the hometown crowd behind him, man. Only 3 losses, and he's good at striking, and he's explosive, he's fast. I think he's going to win by KO in this one. He opened up a -155. He came all the way down to a -135. I hopped in at that price tag, man. I like him in this one. I'm familiar with Ricardo Ramos a lot. Made money with him a lot. Stayed off him recently and stuff. But just because you can't trust him and you don't know what you're going to get out of him. But in this spot, I will say, Joshua Culibao, if he gives his back up, Ricardo Ramos, that's all he needs. He'll get it and sub him just like that. The level of jiu-jitsu and top tier from Ricardo Ramos, from the weakness of takedowns to Culibao, big disparity, okay, on that. But if it gets past that first round, you're going to see Culibao putting on a clinic out there. You're going to see Ricardo Ramos kind of looking like he's huffing and puffing. If this stays on the feet, we're going to be at a striker's delight. Both these guys like to strike too. I don't think this one's going the whole distance as well. So if you guys want a low value spot, I don't think fight's going the distance in this one as well. I like Joshua Culibao in this one. I just can't get to the window with Ricardo Ramos right now. I just can't. What he's been putting forward in his last couple of fights, it's nothing that I want to back right now. So you got to show me something. And speaking about showing me something, man, show me some likes, show me your comments, show me who you guys are betting on right now, man. Because we're just getting started on the early prelims on UFC 305. We got more fights to talk about. Okay, let's see if we got some dogs barking for you guys. All right, man. Next fight taking place. You got Junior Tafa taking on Walter Walker. Junior Tafa is the younger brother of Justin Tafa. Look, Junior Tafa, last fight out, stepped in for his big brother, Justin Tafa, to fight Margarios de Legas de Lima. And, he just got his ass whooped with leg kicks. It wasn't a good look at all. He should have just stayed at home and said, hey, big bro, I ain't taking that one for you. And that's his last fight. Walter Walker, his last fight, he made his UFC debut a big favorite. Whoa. Wait, guess I gotta mention, Walter Walker is the younger brother of Johnny Walker, UFC fighter. So we have 2 younger brothers of fighters, UFC fighters, fighting each other. Wow. The fights of the brothers. I don't even think nobody even noticed that on this whole prediction card. Oh, wow. All right, now let's get down to it. Walter Walker, he opened up a -220 favorite in his last fight out, right, against Lucas Bresky. Yeah, I had him down with takedowns and stuff, but he didn't look good, and he lost the fight, and he didn't close. He didn't look nothing like he should have against Bresky. He had people saying, yeah, Bresky, ain't that bad. And he actually is. It's just Walker ain't that good. In this one, you got wrestler versus striker, the power versus the grappler. And if Walter Walker gets Junior Tafa down to the ground, I don't think he's going to be able to get up. But I don't think he's going to keep going ground and pound, because he didn't do that in the first fight against Bresky. If Junior Tafa catches Walker a couple of times, he can knock him out. The bet odds open him up at a pick'em. Now you got one fighter looking as the favorite. And here, I gotta go with the wrestler, unfortunately, man. I think Walter Walker might just be able to get the takedowns on Junior Tafa. Junior Tafa only has 5 wins and 2 losses. And, you're not really around the cage like that too much. And, people that struggle with takedowns, once you get taken down, you just kind of quit after 3 or 4 times and you can't get up. It's a mental thing to where you check out and man, I can never get up in the gym and practice. Why am I going to be able to get up now in the cage? So with that being said, I picked Walter Walker. I ain't betting on none of these guys, man. I could even see a case where Junior Tafa could knock him out, but I don't know. I don't think Junior Tafa is that just knockout type of artist that people might put on him just because of his big brother, that type of thing. So I'm going with Walter Walker in this pick. Good lord, if you guys are betting it though. If you guys are more convicted on it, let me know. And if you guys can convince me, let me know, man, because this fight's a low price tag, and those are the fights I love to attack and price and get on, but I just can't get to the window in this one, man. Speaking about getting to the window, I can't on this one. Next fight out, we got the bad guy, Carlos Prates, 19-6, taking on Jingliang. Carlos Prates, man. This guy opened up a -260 favorite. He's all the way up to like a -3-1 favorite on the books out here. Jingliang took some time off. He was dealing with some surgery, some back stuff like that. That's why he came. It took some time off. Carlos Prates been knocking people out in his first couple of fights in the UFC. He's been as advertised, man. In this one, I got to the window with him straight. It is what it is. You gotta leave the chalk to talk sometime. Now he's all the way up to a -3-1 favorite in there. I think he's gonna be able to get the job done. Maybe by decision or even second round KO. But he usually knocks out all of his opponents in the early first rounds, you know. But Jingliang, he really hasn't been put out. But that don't mean nothing. You could always get them lights put out. So I like Carlos Prates in this one, man. Yeah. I got him earlier at that price tag at -260. Now he's a -3-1 favorite. Yeah, CLV, closing line value, all that stuff. It don't matter if you fight or lose. Just know that too. All right, let's keep it going. Next fight taking place, man. We got some big boys. This one's gonna be a good one. Rozenstruik taking on Tuivasa. Rozenstruik 14-5, taking on Tuivasa 14-7. Rozenstruik opened up at a -190. Up to like a -220 or something like that out there on the books. Do what you guys want with it. So in this one, I like Rozenstruik, man, to get the job done. I think he's going to be able to just go out there, man, and put a pace on Tuivasa. Sorry, man. But it probably made me cough because that don't even make sense. Put a pace on Tuivasa? No. He's just going to knock him out, man. Just catch him. You don't got to put a pace on him. Both these guys like to stand around, swing, and bang. And Tuivasa's been on a 4-fight losing streak. Don't even know why he's in the UFC still, man. But I just think that, you know, they like the way that he fights. He's entertaining. He's a crowd favorite. He drinks beer out of his shoe, stuff like that. I get it, you know. But before those 4 losses, I guess he has some okay wins. Some people are going to tell you that Tuivasa is live in the spot. He is. Everybody's live. It's a fight. It's a heavyweight fight. Anything can happen. But I ain't telling you that. I'm telling you, I like Rozenstruik. If you guys are looking for a solid leg for a parlay piece, I think Rozenstruik will be that right there. And I don't think this one's seeing round 3. I know it's going to be chalked as well. And with that being said, I could even see the under 1.5. Yeah, I like the under 1.5 as the most solid bet in here. If you guys just want to bet an under, bet the under in this one, parlay it with something else that you guys like, and let's get money. The under 1.5 in this, the under 1.5 in the Tom Nolan fight. Meet me out the window and let's get paid. All right, man. Rozenstruik though, man, Biggie boy. I think he's gonna come out here and put on a big knockout in Australia. It's going to have everybody looking at him like, man, you just knocked out my dude. I can see Rozenstruik picking up his own shoe, pouring beer in it, and drinking it out shoey style in Australia, Perth, doing what Tuivasa does. And then Tuivasa getting up off the floor after he's knocked up and join him. Pouring up his shoe too, like, hey, forget it, man. Putting his hand around him on the cage like, it's all right, man. I got knocked out. Let's both drink out of his shoe. Rozenstruik, if you're seeing this, make it happen, dude. Let's make it happen. Biggie boy season, though, man. I was there to watch him fight Pick Dawgz live, man. And he knocked him out. He had Pick Dawgz running in the cage. Rozenstruik was running after him and just, man, I'll never forget it, man. Had a -172. I learned my lesson, though, man. I better get some once in my life. Never again. I like Rozenstruik to win. Let's go ahead and get it done. The next fight taking place. Gamrot taking on Dan Hooker. Gamrot, he was one of the fighters that, you know, was making my top 5 lightweights of the world. And, you know, he ranked pretty high on that one. 24-2 taking on Dan Hooker. He's a -3-1 favorite now. I played him straight when he opened up at a -220. It was 2 bets that I made on this card. And it was Prates at 250 and it was Gamrot at 220 or 260 for Prates it was. All right. I laid the chalk real quick earlier on, you know. Just because of the opponents and stuff and the path to victory, I think Gamrot just wins at a 90% clip in here. Dan Hooker ain't going to be able to stop the takedowns, man. But he's been putting on some remarkable wins, man. And you can't count him out. You can't. But you can against a smart fighter like Gamrot who knows, hey, I need to get this job done. And I got multiple paths to do it. I think he wins by submission, man. I like Gamrot to win inside the distance plus 300. Nice value on it too, because he usually wins by decision. A lot of people like the over 2.5. I think motion's gonna be running high, and yeah, I like Martiz Gamrot to win inside. Plus 300. Let's go. And after this, I think he's fighting for that belt next. All right, next fight taking place. We got a good one, man. I mean, a good one. Co-main event time. Steve Erceg taking on Kai Car-France. Steve Erceg opened up a minus 210. Now he's all the way down to a minus 135, minus 150. Okay. Kai Car-France, he's going to be fighting in Australia, right? But Steve Erceg is going to be fighting in Perth, Australia, in his backyard. He's going to have the hometown crowds cheering for him. Both these fighters will, though, because they're both fan favorites, right? Steve Erceg is coming off of just fighting for the title against Alexander Pantoja, okay? Had Pantoja in that spot. No questions asked. Pantoja won. Steve Erceg, man, I think he can make this a boring fight and just take Kai Car-France down a couple of times, you know what I mean? And win by ground and pound. If not, he could catch him too. But Kai Car-France is live, man. I like the way that he fights. He's an explosive fighter in there. I don't think this one's going the distance. That's a little value play on there. I think the MMA community is torn on this one. You can see that's why the line came down from a minus 210 to a minus 150. I parlayed Erceg straight, you know what I mean, at a minus 210 price earlier on, you know, and I did play him when he came down at that minus 155. I did a parlay with Steve Erceg and Rozenstruik earlier on when he was at that minus 190 price tag. I like him in this spot. I think he wins. Kai Car-France, a lot of people going to be betting on him in here. He's explosive in that first round, man. He can catch anybody out there too. But this is the thing, Steve Erceg fights smart, articulate, you know what I mean, intelligent. Like I think he has this MMA game figured out like the back of his hand, you know what I mean. I wouldn't be surprised if Steve Erceg wins first round, second round, you know, and then the crowd's going crazy again. Then he gets back on that mic and says, give me another title shot. You know, it is what it is. I think Steve Erceg gets it done. Also, man, we got a UFC survival pool. He's my survival pool pick too, so let's go, man. Erceg, bring it home. Main event time. Oh, man, we got a good one, man. We got Jenkins du Plessis taking on Israel Adesanya for the middleweight championship. 5-round fight. What needs to be mentioned, this UFC pay-per-view card, well, the UFC 305, it starts at 5:30 a.m. Australia time, okay? So these fighters are going to be fighting real early in the morning out there. It's going to be regular time for us out here in the States, but it's going to be real early for them. All right, man. Let's just talk about the betting and the odds, man. Israel Adesanya opened up a minus 125 favorite, got all the way up to a minus 135, minus 140. Came back down now. Now he's like a minus 110. Jenkins got up to a plus 115, I want to say. Jenkins du Plessis is undefeated in the UFC. 7-0 or 8-0? After he went 6-0, he got the chance to fight for his title against Sean Strickland. Got the belt. Jenkins du Plessis has only been an underdog once, and that was against Robert Whittaker. We bet him in there, and he won. I bet him inside the distance, too, and we doubled up. I've been betting on this guy since he came into the UFC, and I've been backing him. Went to see him fight live against Darren Till at UFC 289 or 282. I forget, man. Aguilar and Jan Blachowicz was the main event. Seen him fight Darren Till, had him at minus 170 against Darren Till. Had him also to win by submission. He beat the brakes off Darren Till. He must have hit that guy like 53 times unanswered in the first round, and he didn't even answer back. Won by submission. Made money with him. Never lost with him. He's becoming one of my fan favorites of the new generation of fighters, and I like the way that he fights too. You know what I mean? With that being said, Israel Adesanya, I made money with him a long time ago and been making money with him. He's one of the guys that I would bet straight, minus 240, minus whatever. He hasn't lost for me. Then, lost against Jan Blachowicz. Okay, cool, I ain't mad. One loss. Lost against Alex Pereira. Whatever. I'm not even mad. You only lost for me 2 times in my whole time. Never bet on you every single fight. Just bet on you when most of the time, right? I didn't bet on him against Sean Strickland. I actually had a little play on Sean Strickland plus that 475. Just because I thought that value was just stupid. I ain't doing it with Izzy minus 700. I thought he would win inside the distance, but that's it. So in this one, I gotta go with DDP, man. I like both these fighters, but I think DDP has more past the victory. He can use the wrestling and the takedowns. That's something that Adesanya struggles with. He's an explosive fighter that's going to come forward. That's something that Adesanya struggles with. Both these guys are improving, it seems like, in their career, right? But it seems like at this point, DDP is fighting with a little bit more confidence. You know, and once you become championship material, you go out there and you fight like that too. No love lost, man. Like, I think Israel Adesanya is like one of the best middleweights of all time. If he can win this fight against DDP, I think that's going to cement him there to where it's like, oh yeah, he is there. But if he loses against DDP, it kind of tarnishes everything to where you start looking at him like, oh, now you're starting to lose, you know, at this point in your career when you're fighting other people. You know, you start going down that Anderson Silva type of route and stuff, you know. Hopefully not, I guess, you know, because I'm an Israel Adesanya fan. But I'm a Dricus du Plessis better and backer, and he's one of my guys. And Israel Adesanya is one of my guys, man. It's like if you got two teams, which I do. So it's like me seeing the Atlanta Braves playing the New York Yankees. Or it's like me seeing the Jacksonville Jaguars playing the Atlanta Falcons. It's one team I've been way more of a fan of. And it's one team, you know, whatever, man. I like fight not to go the distance. I like the under 4.5. The under 4.5 is a minus 125. And I really like fight not to go the distance, man. These guys got underlying beef. And, you know, I think it's going to play out like that, too, on the feet. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends early, okay? I like Dricus du Plessis in the spot. And the money's coming in on him, too. Hopefully, let me know what you guys are betting on this whole card. And, you know, I'll see you guys next week. MMA Locker Room here. UFC Bet with me. We beating up all the books. Smash the like button. Hit the comments for me.